Joining me now is Dr. Wes Petes. Hello, Doc. Welcome back to the broadcast. Everybody here is a doctor or something, so I started to give you an honorary degree from the Brannon Howse Institute.
I will accept it, Brannon. Thank you very much.
You bet. From the Brannon Howse Institute of Higher Learning. There you go. All right. So tell me, we have one guy that put out a tweet today. Let's see who that is. That was, we had so many tweets open and other things. Where did it go? Where did that tweet go? There we go. Grant Gordon. He tweeted out, warning, stock market is due for 50% correction, taking S&P below 2674. Tens of millions of households will have their retirements and savings destroyed by being invested in stock market at these levels. The yield curve has been inverted for 500 plus days. This has only happened 3 times since 1920, 29, 74, 2009. Each time markets declined more than 50%. If your retirement account loses 50% before considering the destruction of your principal's purchasing power due to inflation, resulting in a 75% loss. There you go. So I guess I don't give financial advice, I give financial opinion. But one thing I would say here, good old Mr. Wes Petes, would be you might want to take some profits off the table and diversify into a hard asset that also is a hedge against inflation. But what say you about this?
Absolutely. I mean, the stock market is significantly overvalued, Brannon. You remember we were talking back in October, November, December of last year about the stock market had already baked into the equation that the Fed was going to start lowering interest rates in March. And here we are in May, and just recently the Fed once again held off on raising or lowering rates. And it's looking like there's a chance they could maybe lower the rates once or twice before the end of the year, but I wouldn't bet on that either, because according to the numbers, believe the numbers or not, the economy's still not cooling off, and so there's a lot going on right now. But the overvaluation of these companies, I sent you an article as well. Legendary investor John Hussman, he said that the stock market's mirroring the extremes that led up to the 1929 crash. And he says he could see a crash as significant as 65% would not surprise him.
Wow.
And, they also took a survey about only 39% of investors are bullish on stocks over the next 6 months. And there's a lot of smoke and mirrors that have driven this market higher. The market used to be, had fundamentals that we could go by. And those fundamentals have been out the window for a long time now. And again, people would rather be in cash on the sidelines, out of the market, even if they were 12 months too early, sit on the sidelines and wait. And they're also talking about BlackRock's talking about sitting on the sidelines, and they were talking about people getting into bonds. Do not sit in dollars, get in bonds, because those dollars are just going to be devalued.
I reported on that on my Worldview report. There's that article, there's that headline you're talking about. Here's what I reported on my Worldview report tonight. The investment management company BlackRock has issued a major warning about the U.S. dollar. The company, which is the world's largest asset management firm, is warning investors sitting on large amounts of cash dollars to start moving some of it into bonds and other investments. That's BlackRock.
Right. Absolutely.
And that begs the question, why did I hear, if I could find it on Twitter, why did I hear Warren Buffett talking about sitting on all the cash?
Almost $200 billion in cash.
Why? When I heard that the other night, I thought, why is he doing that? Why does he trust these banks? I mean, what does that mean to him? Maybe that doesn't mean he's sitting with it in the bank. But what do you think he means when he says he's sitting on that money, that cash?
Well, what they say is, the article that I read said they would love to spend it. They would love to have it invested.
I saw the clip. I watched it.
Yeah,
he said that
they won't spend it unless they're doing something that's has very little risk and can make us a lot of money. So again, pulling your money out of the market, sitting on the sidelines, waiting for the correction, and then jump in and buy those company stocks, at a 20-30% discount.
Why? So you're sitting on $189 billion cash right now. Something big's about to happen, he says, and they know it. Well, it makes you wonder, But he said, well, if we want to spend it, but if we could find somewhere to put it to get the best return, appropriate return, we would. Is he basically saying that, by keeping it in a money market, bonds, 5.4 or 4.5%? Yeah, 4.5%, 5% return. That's the best he's willing to do right now based on a possible risk? Meaning, is he concerned to even buy real estate? Does he think real estate is a bubble that's about to pop and he doesn't want to move his money into real estate? What do you think he's saying?
Well, I think he's saying he wants to have a war chest of liquid cash available. So when this collapse comes, this correction comes, he's going to swoop in with all of his, $200 billion and buy at the fire sale.
Does that mean he trusts the banks not to seize his money or give him a haircut or bail in?
He probably feels the banks are much more secure than the market right now. I'm sure he's not in some small, local bank. He's probably in one of the big 5 banks. These banks are in big trouble. I've got a video clip about, there's up to 900 banks that are in trouble right now.
Yeah, I got the clip. It's 11 minutes long, right?
Yeah, just if you play like the first minute from the start to 2:30.
All right, let's play that. Here we go. Watch and listen.
Going to be more bank failures.
Or at least dip below their minimum capital requirement.
There will be bank failures, but this is not the big banks.
Wait a minute. There will be bank failures, but not the big banks. So they're gonna. I'm guessing what they're gonna do. Just my opinion. They're gonna save the dozen or so banks that have the federal charter for the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is a private entity made up of private banks given a federal charter in December of 1913. So he says it's not going to be the big banks, which tells me they are planning on saving the ones that basically run the Federal Reserve. What do you think?
Absolutely. There's video after video.
All right, let's go. Let's start over with that again. Let's start over.
Going to be more bank failures.
Or at least dip below their minimum capital requirement.
There will be bank failures, but this is not the big banks.
The banking industry is a crucial part of the economy, but it is currently facing a crisis that could lead to collapse. The recent failures of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank have caused shockwaves in the financial world, and there is concern that this is only the beginning of a larger catastrophic event. More than 900 banks applied for the Bank Term Funding Program last year, and now they are facing the challenging task of paying back those loans. If one of these banks fails and cannot repay their loan, it could trigger a domino effect of repayment difficulties for other banks, leading to serious consequences and economic anxiety. Banks are the foundation of modern economies. They hold our savings, facilitate transactions, and provide loans and credit to businesses. However, what happens when these institutions start to fail? More than 900 banks are on the point of collapsing. This is not a distant possibility, but an imminent reality. This could be the most significant banking crisis since the Great Depression of 1929. Within the next 10 months, approximately 1,000 banks could face the destabilizing prospect of failure. The Bank Term Funding Program, which was initiated in March of last year, was designed to mitigate the economic crisis that resonated throughout the banking industry. It provided a substantial sum of $161 billion to banks that were on the verge of collapse, serving as a lifeline to institutions drowning in losses. However, it's important to note that this money wasn't a gift but a loan, and now the time has come for repayment, presenting a significant challenge for these banks. The losses that these banks were facing have not miraculously disappeared. They've only grown, silently accumulating as the economy struggles to find its footing. The collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, the third largest bank failure in U.S. history, sent...
All right, we'll stop right there because they just forced us to stop with a commercial that they're throwing in there. But wowza. So 900 banks may collapse over the next 10 months. Of course, I guess when you talk about the big banks, what are you talking about? Like what? Wells Fargo?
Wells Fargo, Bank of America.
Truist?
Yeah. Yep. It escapes me now. There's 5 or 6 of them. And the fear is that, Brannon, these regional banks, they're just going to continue to be bought up. I mean, there was a bank that failed on April 26th, the Republic First Bank in Philadelphia. They had 32 branches. Fulton Bank absorbed them. The bank that failed, Republic First Bank, had $6 billion in assets, $4 billion in deposits. So this is just going to be a domino effect. And the thing is, what they're very terrified of at the Fed is a run on the banks just out of fear. If people start losing faith in the entire banking system, with social media and everything today, that could escalate very, very quickly. And that's when people could run to the bank to take their money out and they could be told, oh, sorry, Brandon, all we can give you today is $400. No, I want to close my account. I've got $20,000 here. Well, too bad. Here's your $400.
And by the way, we have a congressman from Pennsylvania we've played a gazillion times, several years back, talking about how they had to do this once before, is shut everything down, the money markets, everything, stop a digital run on the banks.
Right.
And of course, the hope is that they could get the thing up and running again so that, people aren't going days without being able to go and buy what they need to keep their business going, which is what happened in Cyprus back in 2004, 2003?
Right. Yep.
Look at this headline. Stock buybacks hit highest level since 2018.
Yeah, Apple purchased back $110 billion, the largest buyback in history.
Yeah, there we are. We talked about that. Berkshire's growing cash pile. We talked about that. Let me talk about this one here. Here's Ed Dowd. I got to get Ed back on the show. Bank of Japan, possibly the spark for the unwinding of the global debt bubble. It's a process, and there will be responses and interventions. But make no mistake, the process has begun, and now it's about how they will attempt to manage it and try to kick the can down the road. That's a tweet. Or an X posting today by Ed Dowd, who knows what he's talking about. That's for sure. Comment there, please.
Yeah, I meing, this is a global, problem. All of these countries have lived beyond their means and created money, and the thing that the U.S. a double-edged sword is, we talked for some time now about BRICS and how every day there's information about BRICS and new agreements and arrangements that they've worked out with other countries. To no longer use the U.S. petrodollar. So that's going to start taking a much more significant effect on the value of the dollar as well. And if we lose the reserve currency of the world, the dollar is the world's reserve currency, all bets are off. And again, BRICS has made no secret. I mean, they're publicly speaking and talking about dethroning the U.S. dollar.
Indeed, they are. And then, of course, China's preparing for World War III big time. Here's Gordon Chang tonight. China's regime is amending the National Defense Educational Law to require military training for all high school and university students, and to provide military education starting in elementary classes. Some elementary students already receive military instruction. Brand new tweet today by Gordon Chang. So with all that's going on, the swirl of bank failures, the swirl of World War III, pandemics, all that's going on, historically, if people want to hedge their bets against the dollar collapse, monetary collapse, fiat currency, massive inflation, is to historically go into precious metals, gold, silver. If you want to put gold into your IRA, Wes can show you how to do that. All you got to do is text him. You don't even have to call him. Just text him. He's not wanting you to call. He doesn't want you to call him so he can twist your arm. That's not what he does. Right. He's not even wanting you to call him. He just says, text me your name and your address. I'll send you a free, no obligation packet of information. You can read over it in your spare time, write down your questions, then text me back and let's set up an appointment. Let me answer all your questions. Then you can make a decision from doing your due diligence. So that's how they work. I've been working with them about 16, 17 years now. 602-558-8585. He comes on, he gives us an education and economic update, and then we tell you a little about his company. 602-558-8585. Just simply text him your name and your address. Say, I want that free packet, no obligation packet that Brandon talked about, and they'll send it out. 602-558-8585. 602-558-8585. Closing comment?
And I can also text or email that entire 11-minute clip if people want to watch the rest of that video that you played the first segment of there. I'll pass that along as well. But yeah, I would encourage people, again, just do your homework, do your due diligence. Don't buy into all the hype about the stock market. There's warning after warning out there. And do a little bit of homework. Let's talk. If it makes sense, we've been doing this for 42 years. I know we can do a great job of helping. And if you decide it's not for you, we're going to thank you for your time and say, hey, if you ever change your mind, give us a call.
Absolutely. Thank you, Wes, as always.
Hey, thanks, Brandon. Have a good evening. Thank you.
You too, my friend. Before we go, folks, take a look at this right here, worldviewtube.com. We take and we archive every segment of the show. as well as a lot of other shows we carry. Roger Stone, A New American TV, Dr. Rob Lindstedt, John Mills, Colonel John Mills, Tamara Scott. We carry so many programs. Dan Eastman is down here somewhere, I know. Click View All TV Shows, and you'll be able to get a whole host of more shows. They just keep going, folks, and they're all there free of charge. There's Dan Eastman. They're all there free of charge. So these segments tonight will be put up there here in the next hour and a half or so at worldviewtube.com. Share it far and wide. Tell your friends about it, won't you? Worldviewtube.com. I'm on TV 3 hours a day. That's a lot of news and information. It's all free. And again, you can support us in part by going to WVWFoundation.com, WVWFoundation.com. Pray for the folks of Tennessee, East Tennessee tonight. Massive tornadoes in and around Nashville area tonight. Massive tornado. Video is online. Wow, pray for them. Till next time, I'm Brannon Howse. May God save America. Take care.